I have vacillated back and forth between I did the right thing and I should have grabbed him by his coat and threw him in front of traffic. I've definitely gone back and forth between those two feelings. I did the responsible thing. I had something heavy enough in my bag. I should have cracked him in his head with my bag. There have been versions of me that would have done either or. While I feel like it was responsible and it was critical to both of our futures, there's still a part of me that for all of those people who say, oh, I would have done this, yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to do that, but there's also the part of me who does not want my story to end in a chalk outline on the sidewalk because somebody stabbed me in my side and left me there to die.
So this is a lesson in that, in detaching from the regret of not feeding into my impulse first, I would say.
Okay.
Feeling like I missed out on something because I did not, succumb to that vibration when I so wanted to. I so wanted to.
Passion public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to a very special edition of the Passion PSA podcast, which was not on the agenda for the season, where I, passionate, no last necessary, your get you right guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I have observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, and for others. What a time. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I will never rob you of your right to feel what you feel, the same way I will not sugarcoat whatever it is that I have to say. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. Brianna's here in the studio with me today. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know recently we had a very wild experience, and we're going to talk about that experience today, not just because we want to have the conversation about the experience, but because Passion Public Service announcement, being the bigger person, operating as your highest self can be traumatic. And we still have to operate on that frequency in order to get the best results. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the trauma of taking the high road and what that feels like and how we are navigating the space so that we don't have to stay married to the trauma, and so that we can heal, because we've been dealing with it for the last few days, and we've been dealing with it individually and in our own ways. And so now we're going to talk about that with y'all. So before we get started, do you want to do some affirmations?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Victor, not victim.
My thoughts on that?
No, we doing affirmations.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's start that from the top. Okay. Roll that back.
I'm leaving that in. This is the second time that I've started affirmations, and the person was just like, I'm like, you gonna repeat after me or not?
It's different when when you're on it, even though I leave comments all the time. Watch all the episodes.
Thank you for your unending support. We really appreciate that. Okay, so take a deep breath. Victor, not victim.
Victor, not victim.
I am a conqueror.
I am a conqueror.
I am equipped to navigate the unimaginable.
I am equipped to navigate the unimaginable.
I am covered.
I am covered.
I am protected.
I am protected.
God got me.
God got me.
The angels got me.
The angels got me.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
I receive the blessing in the lesson.
I receive the blessing in the lesson.
Gratitude for peace.
Gratitude for peace.
Gratitude for patience.
Gratitude for patience.
Gratitude for presence of mind.
Gratitude for presence of mind.
It is well.
It is well.
I am well.
I am well.
All is well.
All is well.
And well is all.
And well is all.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, in the next few weeks, the launch of What Two Women Eat will be released. Brianna and I have been shooting over the course of the winter when we have had time, because sometimes our schedules don't align. And we have, because our schedules haven't been aligning, we had to take a break from shooting. We went to this restaurant in Midtown?
Yeah.
In Midtown. We left from there, and there was an episode for the podcast that I have been wanting to do with Brianna for some time, since like February. Shade. But we were looking for a place that was not too loud, not too busy. Was okay, but we just needed some place that wasn't too loud because I didn't have the whole setup with me, and I wanted to make sure that the sound would be good. So we went to this one place, and it wasn't the vibe that we were looking for. So it was just like, you know what, let's go someplace else. We are going across 27th Street. As we're walking down the block, now, for the most part, the street is empty.
Right.
There's really nobody there. There are a couple cars parked. I think there was like one or two, maybe double parked, but there's nothing really happening. Mm-hmm. We're walking down the block. Okay, I'm gonna let you jump in the story from here.
So yeah, we're walking down the block, and now that it's been a few days, it's like the details. So anyway, we're walking down the block, and you're on my right side.
Correct.
Closest to the street.
Correct.
And there's a gentleman walking towards us, and he's looking into the car windows, if I'm not mistaken. And he's like really into what he's looking at. And so he's in a head-on collision with mostly me, but both of us.
Because he's walking on an angle because he's not paying attention to where he's going.
Exactly.
So he's walking, he means to walk straight, but because he's looking in everybody's car window, he's starting to walk like this. So he's getting ready to walk directly into us.
Exactly. And so this part happens so fast. But
I moved a little bit more to the right because I saw that we were going to walk into each other.
Right.
Bree fell in line behind me, and as she did so, she said, "Careful."
Careful. Just like that same tonality from what, I can remember.
Yeah, no,
Careful.
100%. She was walking behind me, and she said, "Careful." And then it went left. And then it went left. We continued walking.
Right.
We continued about our day.
Right.
Looking for where we were going. I think we were on our way. Had we decided we were going to the Royalton, or we were still deciding?
Yeah, we were pretty confident. We were like, let's check it out.
Right.
We were headed
in that direction. We thought maybe we were going to go to the Royalton, but we weren't sure because we I had seen some mixed reviews about them too. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're thinking about. Nothing else.
Right. The it was so fleeting. I said careful and went on.
And then money like reappears. Because we kept moving. We were not thinking about him.
Right. Let's talk about the energy first, because something made us turn around.
Right.
Right.
I don't and that's the thing. I don't remember if he was saying something.
I didn't hear him say anything at that point.
Yeah, like there was, but something caused us both to turn around. I feel like he said something.
Okay.
But I don't recall what.
Maybe.
It was super insignificant, but it was significant enough to make us turn around. And it's not even that what he said was insignificant, because at the point when he said it, we turned around to see what his problem was. However, this is somebody who has now bypassed us and walked almost to the corner. He's come all the way back to us now, talking what he's talking, which is not rememberable at this point because of what he did next, which was...
He hawked a big one and spit at us, directly at us.
His goal was to spit on us. And not only to do that, but to spit on us and say, and I got COVID. And so now you got COVID. 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 Kept walking down the block. He kept saying that. Even saying it is like incensing me right now.
Right.
Bree is ready. Bree is at 11.
It was right, because those moments really show you, like, you know, what your reaction would probably be without thinking in the moment. So yeah, I felt my body tense immediately and directly, you know, want to face him, right? And you grabbed my arm.
Everything went through my head in one moment. It was, if he could do that, if he was willing to do that, what type of time is he on? What are we about to risk? What are we about to lose? So I asked her one question and one question only. I grabbed her arm, just like, give me your arm, the other arm. I grabbed her arm like this and I said, are you ready to go to jail today? And she's holding my arm. So we're holding each other's arms like this. This can go however it can go.
There was a moment where we just looked at each other. There was a lot of communication.
There was. And I'm seeing her pupils dilate. Like, I'm seeing everything that's happening, like all of the things that happen, like in the vascular system and like in your mind. I'm watching these things happen in your eyes. And I'm just like, are we going to jail today? Like, because that's what this is going to be. And there are multiple reasons why that was the concern. So there's one, he already has walked away, right? Because he did it and he immediately about-faced. He was talking cash while he was walking away, but he immediately walked away at the point where we pursue him. Now, anybody who's observing the situation, all they see is us two pursuing this one, to then, once we get our hands on him, it's gonna go left. So now it's the two of us assaulting him,
right,
for no reason, because nobody sees what happens. Nobody knows what happened. Remember, he approached us from behind. So what we find out after the fact is there are other people on the block who have observed it, but they still didn't see what happened. They also were coming down the block, and they probably heard the exchange between us, but they didn't see what happened because he approached us from behind. So they didn't see his spit flying at us. They didn't see any of that. All they heard was him talking, me holding her arm, her holding my arm, and she's holding my arm, and I think she was like trying to absorb the energy of like, keep me out of jail, sis,
because that wasn't my first like thought.
And so let's talk about that. So what was your first thought?
I mean, yeah, my first thought was to meet him where he was.
Right. to be an energetic match.
Exactly. It was to meet him where he was, and it was to run down on him. without any thought of my belongings, anything. Just put hands on this individual because his intent was to hit us with his biohazardous, biomaterial.
Right. Right. 100%.
That's the thing about that act in particular, because if he would have chose to actually do something else, like actually like use his body to hit us,
right,
then it might have been a more justifiable reason for,
right,
even for the surrounding people to be like, okay, well,
right,
he definitely deserves this.
right.
But that's all that we can talk about that later. But my immediate reaction was to meet him where he was, and I didn't think about how close my events were, right? Like my birthday and all these things.
How soon was your birthday after this event?
Wait, what day was that?
That was...
It was Thursday.
Was it Thursday? It was Thursday because then we had the other thing on Friday.
Right, so Saturday was my birthday. So this was like the 4th. And my birthday was the 6th. And my 30th birthday at that, for me. And then that's like a milestone in anyone's life, if you're into that sort of thing. And I didn't think about that.
We literally just finished shooting. We have not released one of these episodes yet. I'm building a brand. I literally just invested how much in building this studio. I have invested how much time in purchasing equipment and selecting equipment, in building up this podcast, making sure that there are episodes. Even if I'm not putting it out there on Instagram, I am doing all of these different things. And in a moment, all of it could have been flushed down the toilet, not just because we could have gone to jail, but because we also could have lost our lives. You don't know what I got in my pocket. I don't know what you have in yours. So at the point where you feel comfortable and confident to spit at or on someone, I don't know if you got the banger in your pocket. I don't know if you got a screwdriver in your pocket. You don't know what I got in my pocket. But I see the type of time and the type of energy you're on. So I have to come with everything. This is really going to have to be a fight to the death.
Right.
Because that's the type of time you on. Immediately. Right. All of these things are going through my head in a split second. If we don't act, then what? And I think that that's part of what you're navigating, and what I have been navigating is the thought after the fact. There are so many people all the time who say, oh, because if it would have been me, I would have skip. And I talk about this with you all the time. Everybody knows what they would have done until they're in the situation.
Right.
When you're in the situation, one, shock can make you react differently. Two, if you're thinking about everything that's on the line. My sister's birthday party was Saturday. I had a brunch to go to for Michael Mai on Saturday. I have a trip. I'm leaving. I'm going away. I told y'all I'm going to India. I'm leaving on Wednesday. This New York City. And the court system is slow as I don't know what.
Right.
Ain't nobody trying to be in nobody's tombs. When I'm supposed to be on a plane, flying, you know what I'm saying? Right. Flying in a quality class. I'm supposed to be documenting experience, creating yet another documentary. I am not trying to do a documentary about what it's like to be sitting on somebody's Rikers Island.
That part.
All of these things have to go through your mind in this moment. Was there any part of you that experienced any level of fear?
No. Not in that moment. I think the fear would probably be more onset after, right? After we come to, right? And we've made a decision that we can't take back, then the fear of consequences usually comes in after that. Because it's not even the idea of, listen, we're in New York. I feel like a lot of people can evade. So I'll leave it like that. But it's more of having that on your conscience, also having to look over your shoulder. What kind of, what are you initiating, right? I didn't initiate that particular incident per se, right? I mean, you could say you initiated it by saying careful, okay, but the response was not. That was uninitiated. Let's put it that way. So it wasn't fear then. I think it would be fear for people around me because, like I said, I have a lot of responsibilities. People who look up to me, and who are relying on me in one capacity or another, and I think that would be more of my fear after the fact. But in the moment, no. And that's also scary, because I'm more afraid of, you have to look at yourself like, okay, like what am I willing to do or sacrifice in the moment? If I was alone, would I have made the choice to
walk away?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Figured it out later.
No, you was ready. you were ready. You were ready to get it shaken. Rightly so.
Right, like sis, I need some wigs. I need some.
And so even all of that, like knowing that like you have to be in that area on a regular and consistent basis. So it's, on the one hand, I operate professionally in this area. So I have to be here. Then there's the side of like, at any point, this person could come into my professional space. And then what? Because there's the decision at that point, do I hop over the counter? Y'all don't judge me. I have hopped over a counter in my life. I have hopped over a register. I have, okay, because what y'all not going to do. And I get it. And that's why I asked, because sometimes there are moments where it's like, no, I'm not even thinking about ramifications and repercussions. What I'm thinking about is what is transpiring in this moment, and it's not going down like that. And so jumped over, ran out the door. No, come back. We going to duke this out. Because what we're not going to do is that. But I don't know if it's that I just considered all of everything in the moment. I don't know. And I'll be honest, I don't know if there was the modicum of fear for me. Like, I don't know. You're a special kind of crazy that somebody could say careful and that could trigger you to respond in that way.
Right.
Because we weren't talking about him. We weren't thinking about him. There was nothing that could justify that type of reaction. The punishment did not fit the crime.
Absolutely.
Because even if it was a crime that was committed, like, it was not that severe. But the reality is there was no crime committed. Right. You actually did him a service. When I walk down the block and people be all in their phone and they're about to walk into me, I'm not walking around. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to where you're going, right? So often I'm walking and I'm like, eyes up. And I've seen people get mad like, yeah, stupid, because you're looking at your phone. If you walk into a pole, then what?
Right, or a 3-ton vehicle.
That part. Or walk into a manhole.
Your eyes down.
Right, because you're looking here, but you don't see the manhole that you're about to fall into. So me saying be careful is not criminal enough to deserve that. But if you're on that type of time, you're willing to do anything. So there's that concept as well. Like, okay, does he have a knife in his pocket? Is he going to try to juke one of us? Mm-hmm. Is he going to... And because this is what makes the whole thing controversial and uncomfortable and makes it, let me say, uncomfortable to discuss. Mm-hmm. That, and I think that this is something that you were alluding to and trying to be more delicate about. This male in particular, right? This is a gay man walking towards us, right? And neither one of us is homophobic. Neither one of us have any type of issue with the LGBTQ community. I think I got all the letters. I'm not sure.
LGBTQ, I think IA.
All of them.
Yeah.
We don't have an issue with this community. So now, and that was one of the first things that went through my mind, and I even said it in the live. I see this. I saw the headline quickly. These two women two women commit a hate crime, a bias crime against this gay man. We jumped him for no reason. I saw it. I'm like, that. You're not about to flush my whole credibility down the toilet and try to spin this like, oh, I didn't do anything. They harassed me. I was walking down the street, minding my business. They harassed me. And then I just said something to them. And then they ran down on me and they assaulted me. Because people will believe that story.
Yep.
Spin is powerful. But I'm not. No. You are not going to flush my whole life down the toilet. So all of these things going through your mind. So now I don't remember like the specifics of his face. Because that's how unimportant he was before it started and even after. But his voice is burned into my mind. Mm-hmm. I can hear him saying it. I can hear him talking. And it wasn't until he got to the end of the block when he was ready to like talk big. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how you know. It's like, I know you on some type of time. I don't know what kind of time you on.
Right. I don't know if you're trying to lead us somewhere, right?
Which is why I didn't go back. That's why I grabbed your arm, because I'm thinking about everything. He didn't continue straight after that. He turned the corner. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you standing around the corner waiting for us so you could start juking us. Right. All of these things are going through my head at that time. And I'm like, how do we proceed? We've all watched enough videos where we have seen somebody get the snot beat out of them for spitting at somebody. I know people who told me, oh, this dude spit on me. I try to beat him within an inch of his life. I work with law enforcement.
Right.
I can't imagine getting terminated for no call, no show because I'm in jail.
That's crazy.
Working with law enforcement. All of these things went through my head at one time. At one time. In that moment when I grabbed your arm, these are the things that I'm thinking about. Like, okay, I had to really, literally, it's like when you're playing cards, when you go to Vegas or any casino and they're shuffling the cards, like that's how the thoughts were going through my head. It was like all of them just being shuffled at one time.
Different realities that could unfold from
everything
this moment.
In a flash. I even thought about, because I told Brianna, I said, I'm going live. So after we disinfected everything, because, and sidebar, okay? Cool. For all you people that laugh at me for all of the things that I walk around with in my bag, I definitely had a whole full pack of disinfecting wipes and gloves.
You had a whole emergency kit, like, stay ready, right?
So you don't have to get ready. Okay? Because I sure disinfected her coat on the sidewalk, like, washed her whole thing down, bag everything.
I felt so
violated.
I was like, give me one for my neck. Nothing touched me, but I just felt the need. I was like, I don't care if it's a disinfectant.
Right.
I don't care if it's dry or harsh. I just need to be sure.
Right.
And I'm glad I was sure, because that's another level too. Like, because it is assault. It is assault. So.
You know what? One of the things that I was thinking about when it happened, any other time, NYPD is somewhere doing nothing. Why are y'all never around when these things are happening? And if you were around, like, what would have been done? Would you have reacted, or would you have stayed in the car? Would you stay in your RMP and just like be like, okay, and watch? Because sometimes people will do that. I'm gonna watch to see how you react. And I've actually been in a situation like that where it's like you saw this person transgress against me, but you decided to wait to see how I was going to respond. And then because of how I responded, now I'm in trouble. Like, yeah, they did that, but you did this. Like, I did this to defend myself. Mm-hmm. And if you were there to see it, why weren't you present to defend me? Why didn't you intercede? Right. Why didn't you intervene? How is this impacting you now?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, my birthday was 2 days after this event transpired. So I really had to, this is a true, I think, lesson in detachment.
Okay.
Because because this situation transpired, and I was, and it happened to me or around me and with me involved, but at the same time I have this milestone coming up in my life, and people who are proud of me, and the fact that I'm just here, like I have these two you know intense but opposite feelings, and having to weigh which one is actually more important and learn to let go so that I can enjoy, the moments after that, and not carry the moments that happened, 2 days ago with me into my birthday. That was a real spiritual lesson, I think, in detachment. And I feel like detachment is so much more than words can describe. That's why it's such a hard concept to for many to figure out and to master, you know. Um, but it has put into perspective, how fleeting our emotions can be, how quickly things can change from like having such a degrading thing happen to you to then having people celebrate you and honor you and celebrate your life. It's really it's really an interesting thing, and I'm still thinking about what that all means, really. But the timing of it is still remarkable, and I'm still like wrapping my mind around that. And you can I guess question why it happened. When If this happened at in a time where we had no trip, we had no podcast or any of these things going for us, again, would we have responded differently? And so that's the thing about detaching from what is not important versus like being rooted in the things in your life that are. So I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
But what about you?
I have vacillated back and forth between I did the right thing and I should have grabbed him by his coat and threw him in front of traffic. I've definitely gone back and forth between those two feelings. I did the responsible thing. I had something heavy enough in my bag. I should have cracked him in his head with my bag. There have been versions of me that would have done either or. There have been versions of me that there were versions of me that was you and somebody else was the me in the situation. The version of me that's like, I don't need repercussions. I don't even know what that means. what we go? I'm. This gonna be the repercussion right here, right? And there was always somebody who literally appeared out of nowhere and grabbed me physically and like dragged me away. Like, yo, this goes left if I don't remove you from this situation. So I'm here to extract you. And so in that instance, I was the extractor. And while I feel like it was responsible and it was critical to both of our futures, there's still a part of me that for all of those people who say, oh, I would have done this, like, yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to do that. But there's also the part of me who does not want my story to end in a chalk outline on the sidewalk because somebody stabbed me in my side and left me there to die after they tried to spit on me because my friend gave them a word of caution not to harass or insult or assault them, but to advise them, you're about to walk into me and possibly into the street. There's the part of me that's like, that feels, I feel bothered. I don't feel angry. I don't feel sad. I feel bothered that I did the right thing and you still get this real estate in my mind. I feel like you are I feel like he's a squatter. You ain't signed no lease. We don't have a contract. So for you to be usurping space in my mind, you are taking up critical real estate. And it disturbs me that I did the right thing and still I'm still navigating the experience. The experience is not happening.
Right.
The experience happened, but I'm still navigating what happened when ideally I should release it. And so I'm still trying to figure out how. Because there's a part of me that's like, that really feels like our paths are going to cross again.
Okay, speaking of that, so this is the thing, okay? Because we about spirituality, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a fine line. We're in an era where spirituality, you can go down the rabbit hole, right? Especially if you don't have any guidance or peers who seriously practice maybe, some sort of focused, because spirituality runs the gamut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And religion and all those things. But I had an experience. This was yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday was Sunday.
Sunday, yes. Okay. So I had went to work and I was on my way back home and I encountered another slim, I would say flamboyant because that's the word that I would use, like extroverted. It could be another word. Man, he came onto the subway and he was listening to some type of music, Dr. Dre or something like that, or Chris Brown. All this to say is that he was really like in his zone and he was like, mouthing the words out loud and like really like, swirling his neck, all of the things that,
very performative,
And yeah, to an extent could be considered stereotypical. It is what it is though, And I got triggered by that. I had a mask on because I'm on, it's too many people. And so I had to make a decision, like, because I'm like, I didn't want to oogle at this person, but like from my peripherals, I felt like he looked similar, and he got on not too far from the area in which this happened, right? Maybe like, I would say 20 blocks, but, in the 80s. So all this to say is that, like, I'm like, is that him? Like, because I did say, and I meant it. And when you say things, when you're in the heat of the moment, you really declare something, right? Whether it's negative or positive, I feel like those things, tend to be on the fast track sometimes. Like the universe heard that, like, after all the other things you manifested, he's like, oh, you want that? Okay.
Right.
Okay, and
because they tell you in manifestation is not just the words that you're speaking, it's the intensity of the emotion behind it. If you feel it passionately, positive or negative, because this is where people go wrong. They feel like, I've been saying that this is what I don't want. This is what I don't want. Yes, and you are so committed to what you don't want. that's exactly what you're going to get, because that's where the intensity is. Your intensity is not, oh my God, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. I want to be successful. Your intensity is, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. And then you fail because that's where the intensity was. Yes. And because the teaching of that is not reinforced enough or frequently enough, so many people get that twisted. And yes, there was intensity in the conversation. Go ahead.
So I remember the day it happened. I'm like, if we run it to, like, I can't remember everything I said because I was, again, upset. But I know I declared that if this situation were to arise again, the story might end differently. And I'm on I'm on the train, and it's like, it's actually quiet today. Usually the trains are stereotypically packed, right? But it's like 5 people, and he gets on, and I'm like, he's enjoying himself. He's doing his thing, and I'm just like, here's, like, in my own world, like, looking at him from the side, like, is it this guy? And actually going through the thought process, like, what if, right? What if I was to just, like, have the confidence or the audacity or the irrationality to be like, yeah, I know that's him, and just, like, just while out,
Right.
and then just get off at the next stop or something.
Right.
Right. All those thoughts went through my head. He was on for a good minute. And I'm just thinking, and like I'm twisting my hands, and like and so like then I started to feel like, am I profiling? And those thoughts started to come in, like, am I just profiling? I mean, he looked like him. Like, I'm going back and forth in my head, and that was an interesting experience for me, because I'm like, all right, I don't know if I want to necessarily continue to manifest that feeling anytime I'm going to work, anything like that, you know. So I have to let go of that, you know, in a different way, you know, not necessarily even wishing or hoping that something bad happens to him per se, right? I'd have to like let go of it, really let God deal with that, and not be concerned with or consumed with the outcome of this person's existence because of that. Because then it's almost like he spit his energy on me, and now I'm becoming the thing that I don't want, which is him, right? Or that energy that he represents.
Right.
So I felt a little triggered by that. I'm like, is this like anxiety? And when it's not your stereotypical like assault, because when people think of assault, they usually think of like physicality. But when someone attempts to spit on you, which we all, I think, you know, feel is one of the most degrading things you can do to someone, is there's no scars left behind from that are physical.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not even realize how you took it in the moment.
Yep.
If it's never happened to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like these feelings are coming up while this dude is just like having the time of his life in his corner.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, and that feeling was like, I don't want that. Imagine, you know, when there's parades and people who look exactly like him are just everywhere, and that has power over me now.
Right.
No.
Right. Right.
No, I can't do that.
Because so every time you see a slim gay man who is being nosy or doing too much or has a certain intonation to his voice, you can't now project that dude's face. But it's crazy because the mind can play those kinds of tricks on you where you were fine. And then all of a sudden you see something, and then when the smoke clears, you realize you didn't actually see that. You thought you were seeing that because you were so consumed by your emotion. And who wants to live their life like that?
Right.
I think part of it is the fact that there's this feeling like he walked away satisfied, and we didn't. We went on with our lives. We went on. We had a great rest of our evening.
Yeah, actually.
We had a great rest of our evening. We did some networking. We ran the gamut of things.
Yes.
The following day, we went and shot another episode. Like, we continued with our lives. And so but at the same time, you're not in the space yet where you can honestly say, I went on with my life and I was able to leave that there. It's like I went on with my life, but that is still kind of walking behind you. It's still walking behind you like him.
Yeah, there's vengeance. There's vengeance, and that's the truth. There's vengeance on the mind a little bit. And I don't want that feeling. But yeah, yeah, I'm like, I need somebody else to take care of it, you know?
Right.
However that may be.
Right.
But I understand the power of my words, which is why, you know, I don't know how that would transpire and how I would have to be involved in that, and like what I'm really asking for sometimes when you say you want vengeance, right? Because it can end poorly at the end. You can even get what you want, you know, and get that. But then sometimes you see this in movies a lot where people get the thing they were fighting for this whole time, or like, you know, they've been practicing to win this race for however long to prove to everyone that they are, you know, the best. And then when they get this proverbial prize, they, you know, everyone claps and, you know, life goes on, and then they're just like holding the trophy, but like they feel empty because their intent behind it is now like kind of empty. So I feel like with time, that feeling of like wanting my little lick back, will subside. But for right now, I'm gonna use some spiritual tools
Okay.
on that. And I think I told you one of the things that
Share.
yeah. So and this has helped me. This has helped me even with like family issues, because this situation is a microcosm, I would say, of other things that we need to let go of in our lives, maybe. And I'm just coming to that connection right now. But so yeah, sometimes I'll write unadulterated, like all the things you really want to say to someone or about a situation, like things that you shouldn't say, or that like you can't take back, like write it out. Because then when you see how it feels when you write that, like write it out, then you're purging that, and you have to do it constantly. I've done it like on the same situation numerous times. So I would say write everything you feel about that. Yeah, even what you wish would have happened. All those things. And then burn it. And
Okay.
that's I think that's just one, over the sink or something. All right, please be safe if you're doing this. I'm not
Don't
suggesting
left eye anybody's house, okay?
right.
Thank
So
you.
I do it over the sink with running water right there, okay, with a lighter. So I'm not suggesting
Arson.
right, right. Just a piece of paper that I wrote on. All right, and so that is one way to do that. But there's other methods too.
I think that that's an excellent one. It's one that I have not. No, let me not lie. I feel like I have done it once. I don't feel like I've done it enough. There are definitely some things, and part of that is because there, even in that decision, there's the place of I want to be mindful of what I'm writing,
Yes.
because for those of us who are familiar with the scripture, write the vision, make it plain. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to write this because
Right.
this is what I feel, but this isn't my desire. It's not what I intend to happen.
Right.
But I just need to get this out of my system. So I get that. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Have you identified what within yourself, if anything, could have made you a vibrational match for that energy to come and find you and this exchange to take place?
Yes. Yes, and this is one thing that most people don't want to speak about. And that's the victimhood mentality too, if you let it stay that way. So like there's a fine line between blaming yourself, right, for like abuse and things like that, versus the spiritual aspect of like why this encounter happened, right? So I have thought about that, and so for those of us who are on a spiritual journey, everyone's on a different level. So what I may say might sound problematic to y'all,
Speak freely.
but yeah. So I would say that before this event, in the last like 2 or 3 months, I've been going through like what should I say? Yes, a deeper look into my like gratitude and my gratitude practices, and what have I been taking for granted and things like that.
Okay.
So, or complaining about,
Okay.
things like that. So when situations like that arise and I'm in the middle of it, I do think, okay, like what am I supposed to learn from the situation, or why did the situation happen this way, versus just blaming everyone for the situation. So I would say that maybe it was a test for my it could also be a test of my vibration also, so it can I felt like it was more of a test of my vibration versus like my vibration being low per se.
Okay.
because I have gone back and forth in my mind about, the 3D, right? And like being grateful for what I have versus wanting more and not disparaging what I have. Those I know this might sound like it's going off on a tangent, but I feel like it's connected to negative situations and how you immediately respond. And those things are like ego checks, right? And like, so one thing about the ego I would say is that, a lot of times our definition of the ego can be, like our sense of self, our sense of, but it's also a reality tester, right? Like if you always say you're broke, like your ego kind of helps you conform your world to like broke things happen to you because of that. like I'm so serious and ask me how I know. Like, so like if you continue to complain about that and not focus on, luxury, then you're never going to get out of it, right? So I would say it could be the same thing for fear, right? Fear, maybe I haven't exactly pinpointed what I think it was, but I do feel like it helped me to determine what I would do in that situation and if I was gonna actually meet him where his vibrational energy was or not. I feel like it was more of a test, and I don't know how else to describe that. Some of it is so ethereal that, it's beyond words.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's what I have right now on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. I have not yet identified, but because I'm still trying to figure out, okay, what was the lesson? And sometimes when you're trying to figure out what the lesson is, you're trying to figure it out based on what you saw or what you thought, but it had nothing to do with either. So what I saw was this person walking towards us and then we walked around him so he didn't walk into us, and then he reacted poorly. What I thought was he reacted poorly and unnecessarily because clearly he's either off his meds or that's the type of time he's always on because, society is rapidly devolving. Or like, so what was the lesson in that? Like, because when you experience something like that, there's the side that like I said, it'll either teach you to become more violent, more reactive, become fearful. Some people are like, this is why I don't go outside. I'm never going outside now. If somebody could spit on you for saying careful, man, I got Uber Eats and I got Instacart. I don't never have to leave. There's a laundry service. I don't never have to leave my house. Right? So it's like, what was the lesson in all of this? Like, I was already aware of all of the things that I'm working diligently to build. So one of the things that I was thinking about earlier when I was in my think tank is that sometimes in order for others to become better, a terrible thing has to happen. And that could very well be the lesson. A terrible thing had to happen, but it wasn't for either one of us. We were necessary parts of the terrible thing. It's possible, and this could be far-fetched, and this could be me being like, what's the word? Hyper optimistic. But it's possible that he could hear, whether he saw my live or, he knows somebody and they say, yo, I was just looking at this and da-da-da-da-da. And then he gets convicted by it. Like, yo, I was the one who did that and that was crazy and I shouldn't have done that. It's possible that this never had anything to do with us. It had to do with him. And so while we seemed like unfortunate pawns in this game because we didn't opt into it, we were still necessary. It's like the person who goes to jail when they come out of jail, they come out amazing, and they come out incredible. But they had to do something. And while this person was a victim of what they did, and this person is like, why did I deserve this? Why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong that I had to experience this? You didn't do anything wrong. It didn't happen to you. It actually was happening to them. This was what had to happen in order to trigger this so that they could become. And it is a really, really wild experience to know that you existing and not doing anything wrong could still put you in a bad way because you had to be the teacher for this person. In order for them to become better, this bad thing had to happen to you. That is a wild and wildly traumatic experience to know that this terrible thing happened. Somebody was sexually assaulted, and it's like, why did they deserve that? They didn't deserve that. So why did it happen to them? Well, unfortunately, that was the only way that they were going to end up in this situation. And only in this situation were they going to evolve to their next level. Were they going to not be a sexual predator? Were they going to not operate in this way? This person had to go to jail for having a hand problem, but in order for them to go to jail for having a hand problem and now being an anger management counselor, they had to beat somebody within an inch of their life, and you were that somebody. That is wildly traumatic.
And then also, it is learning to deal with things that are beyond your control in life, because life has a way of it proverbially spitting on us, you know. Sorry, my throat is like
tickling. You need me to hit the pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back.
So what I was saying was that this is also a huge lesson in life, and because we are on the precipice of like the world changing, at a rapid pace, and there's so many things happening beyond our control that still affect us, right? So how do you deal with that? I feel like I've learned to deal with this more in the financial sector because of financial struggles or hardships, or building myself up to not react right to the 3D in that way. And I have to be able to transfer it over into other aspects of, my life. Now, I mean, when it comes to like spit and like putting your hand, I feel like that might be different. Because I'm going to defend myself.
Right.
But in life, when things happen or people hurt you, maybe even emotionally or, across a boundary, and then proceed not to respect that boundary, learning to detach from that person or that experience without carrying the bag of feelings, the guilt, the shame of how you responded to it or what you think you should have done. Those are the spiritual principles, that might, take a lifetime to learn. I think learning the fundamentals is the practice in whatever spiritual or anything, honestly, like anything in life. So de-escalation and detaching from a situation that you didn't have control over, even if I was to run down on him, and it still wouldn't have stopped him from doing that, and right, he still did it, and I still would be like upset. I feel like,
here's the thing.
Right.
If you had, not only would it probably not have stopped him, that probably would have put the battery in his back to do it more often. Because now They did something to me and I defended myself and then they came after me. So now I have even more reason. Now I feel more justified to behave like this. Because instead of people saying, yo, I was wrong, it's, no, but I defended myself. So they will defend themselves and lie to themselves until the end, as opposed to taking a responsibility or accountability for their actions. And that is crazy.
Right.
But that is also the human condition. And so many people are moving in that space. And that's how they're operating. Like, yeah, I did this. I know, but I'm just saying. Like, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. You did this and these are the repercussions. And so now for you to go forward with this continued practice, you're now going to justify it by saying it's because of what they did to you. But this all started with you and your behavior. So here's a question.
Okay.
Do you wish that I had been like, yo, let's go? Honestly.
I feel like I would have been okay with I feel like I would not have regretted it. Now, okay. I feel like that because I'm safe, because I'm not in jail.
Right.
You know, my reputation, all those things are intact. So right now, I feel like, yeah, I definitely wish it would have been, it would have been a very unique bonding experience. Like, girl, remember that time we ran down?
Right.
You know, so, but I don't wish it so hard, like, that I don't regret the choice we made not to, right? I don't think the choice we made not to run down on him, and my relief in that choice, it does not supersede, you know, my want to get that back.
Okay.
Because I feel like then that's like a continuation now. That actually probably might have felt worse than the feeling we have to go through now, versus the feeling of like every time I'm in that area, I gotta watch my shoulders, watch my back, you know, see this, because now this person has a battery in their back, like you said, to continue their attachment to us, right? And then that's how they suck onto you, like a succubus, really. And now they're feeding off of your energy, and it's amazing how it feels like it's so easy to fall, you know, into that vibration, and then to build yourself back up sometimes feels like it can take a lot longer, you know. So, I mean, the Bronx in me and everything is like, yeah, I'm fine with whatever. Right. Like, I'm fine. I would have been fine with whatever. Like, right. But the person I want to be, right, the higher me, the one who has so much to look forward to, and you know, yeah, I'm glad we didn't do that, because, like you said, it could have ended. Again, and we will fantasize about us getting, you know, our look back, but we could, like you said, we could have ended up missing a finger. We could have lost anything. People walking around with acid in their pockets. Like, is that real?
That's a fact.
You know?
That's a fact.
And I didn't think about that till just now. So that's how you know, like, your thoughts can really, like, let them settle in first.
Right. And I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't regret it. I have, one of the things that I've had to work on within myself is not tiptoeing back out of curiosity. There have been times where, like, everything in me said, leave this alone. And I left it alone. And then curiosity was like, but I wonder if we just, because maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe let's go find out. And then I'm like, you told me not to do this, and now I see why. You told me this was a bad idea. You told me to leave it alone. And I recently, and I felt really good because I was like, okay, I feel like I finally got it this time. Because it was a situation, and I forget who it was, but it was somebody that was like, for whatever reason, there was some type of schism. I don't even remember who, but we ended up going in different directions. And it's like, there was the possibility, like the door, you know when you close the door, but you don't close it hard enough so that it closes all the way?
Yes.
So it's that little crack, and like a little bit of wind can make the door open a little bit. And it's like that little crack of curiosity. And then you open the door, and it don't seem bad at first, right? When you look down the hall, it's fine until you get to the end of the hall and you turn the corner and it's like,
yeah.
And it was like, you told me to leave this alone. And while the curiosity of what if is there have been enough lessons where I went with option B. I went with what if. And then I spent so much time lamenting and regretting and not only lamenting and regretting, but then beating myself up for not being obedient, for not listening, for not heeding the warning that I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm not learning that lesson again. I learned it.
It goes like from what if to why did I do that?
Right. Right.
What if to why did?
Why didn't I listen? And now I'm mad at myself because it's like, yo, there's nobody to blame after you fail yourself.
And that, I feel like that's the most difficult type of anger to detach from, is the anger that you inflict on yourself.
Agreed.
And see in a situation like this with you see how, because the anger, you have to learn how to distribute the anger somewhere else, or else it becomes inward. And now, not only are you angry at him for doing what he did, you're angry at yourself for not responding in a way that you think would vindicate you, until something happens and now you don't feel anything at all because you're not here, right? So that is a very interesting thing. When it comes to regret, regret is, I think, a symptom of anger. A lot of times, regret is a symptom of anger in our actions or lack thereof, and thinking that we made the wrong choice somehow. When, at least in this situation, it was not. And even if you did make the wrong choice in a situation and you're still here to tell the tale, there's still a lesson in that, in which if you receive the lesson, then the lesson has now been completed. So you didn't really lose anything if you learned your lesson.
Right.
I hope that made sense.
It does.
But so this is a lesson in that, in detaching from the regret of not feeding into my impulse first, I would say.
Okay.
Feeling like I missed out on something because I did not, succumb to that vibration when I so wanted to. I so wanted to, and choosing not to. And that's a good thing, though, I think, because if I can do that in a situation like this, then I feel like I'll be good in life, because I'm not easily swayed. It took some reinforcement. It took some, and one of my first responses was I and I'm not really like a super religious person, but I did call for the Lord several times throughout that. Me calming myself, like,
Yes.
Lord,
Yes.
and I looked up and I was like, because I don't have any words for this feeling, I'm gonna just,
handle my light work. Handle my light work, because this ain't it. This ain't it, God. I don't like
I
this.
reject this.
Right.
I reject this. You deal with it.
It's
It's above me.
That part, and accepting that it's okay that it's above you. This is being handled. The fact that you don't have control over it doesn't mean that it's not being handled. And it also doesn't mean that you're not gonna know about it. Like,
yeah,
sometimes we're so attached to knowing. Like, I want to know that you suffered.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know that you were punished. I want to know, like, you spit at me. Like, I want somebody spit in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like the violation, absolutely. Like, that be how you feel, right? I'm keeping it a stack, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say what everybody is really thinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want you to be violated in a way that you will never. But for me, it's not even like I want you to be violated like that. I want my real. This is a real wish that I have experienced on so many levels, so many times. I don't necessarily want for you to get the reciprocal. I don't want you to receive what you gave. I want that the moment that karma comes for you, that this moment comes back to your mind, and that it's like, this is because of that.
Yeah.
This is what I get for doing that. That would make me feel very excellent.
Yeah.
For you to have, because I see so many times, and I think I started to write an episode about this. I see it so often where people are like, why me? What did I do to deserve this? You've done a lot. And you didn't receive any type of punishment in that moment. And because you didn't receive any punishment in that moment, you feel like, what?
Your punishment was on zip pay. It was on layaway.
It was on layaway. You
was accruing
that part. That part. And so now that it's coming back to you, you're like, but I never did this. Okay, just because you never cheated on someone, but you violated somebody in a relationship, you disrespected the relationship. Now, this is not, you are upset because you're being cheated on. You're being cheated on because you're getting the reciprocal of that energy. You violated someone. You were disrespectful in a relationship. Now you're receiving that disrespect that you put out there. This is what you paid into the karmic bank. These were the deposits that you made. And so this is the return on your investment. You bought some stock in being this type of individual. And so this is your quarterly payout. What's up?
Okay, language. Okay, business nomenclatures.
Hey, yo. But nah, for real. Like, this is your karmic payout. Right. Receive it, because while you're out here doling it out, you feel good. You feel confident. You feel like, and what? So now, and what?
Right.
Take it. Take that. Get on your Diddy and take that. Like, what we doing?
Oh, can we pause? I think you need a button that just says "take that." You heard it here first.
So that's actually, I can put any sound on.
Oh, we're gonna go back later. Yep. Just splice that out real quick with that same energy. Yes, take that. Yeah, what you said. Take that.
Yo.
Yep. So it was an amazing experience.
I agree.
And it had a lot of lessons in it. You know, sometimes life is like that too. It just comes and smacks the life out of you.
Yes.
And you questioning why, and you're wondering, like, why? Just straight up.
Everybody's part of somebody's story.
That part.
And like, remember I did that episode, Tell Your Story, Believe Me, out of it. I
remember that one.
Yeah, this is that. Like, you don't necessarily want to be part of somebody's story, but you're part of somebody's story whether you want to be or not. Like, the people walking down the block, remember the Asian women?
Yeah.
They were like, "Are you okay? Well, what happened?"
I don't even remember if I said anything. I think I just looked at them.
I don't remember.
You might have said
anything. Yeah. Because my eyes were on the older lady, because I was trying to figure out what she was doing, because her movement was odd to me, because it was like she was like bending over as she was walking past. And I'm like, why is she doing that?
Right.
But I realized that she had a smaller one. So I think she might have been like the grandmother, and she was trying to get the grandchild like to maneuver by, but they were like, you know, being like little people do, busy.
Right.
So she was trying to like redirect them, and I think that's what was happening there. So, but it was just amazing how many people actually they I don't know what it was that made them ask. I don't know if it was because they heard us talking back and forth. Because real talk, after he got to the corner, he was still talking.
I was still thinking about it.
Bree was ready. She was still ready. I'm still holding her arm because I'm trying to keep us out of jail. I didn't want to go to jail, sis.
I was like, you could go.
I realized that. I thought about it. Like, I processed that as well. Like, okay, because I wasn't holding you tight. Because
you didn't want to get fly.
Right. Bree's type strong. So and the rage. Like, I seen the bull. The bull reared up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the bull really reared up. And in my head, like, to be honest, I really thoroughly expected you to, like, drop your stuff. Like, you can stay here if you want to. I'll be back.
That was a reality.
I felt it. I felt it. Like, in my head, I'm like, she's going to drop her bag. And I am going to have to now collect her things, go after her, while simultaneously calling like 5 different people. Like, let me call this person, 911, because this is about to go.
You know, and that's something that's energetically has always happened to me. There was so just a quick, like, so I've had a lot of fights when I specifically in middle school. I was like.
Middle schoolers are awful people.
Awful. But I do take pride, and I will always say this, even on camera, I never started any of the fights. I was being picked on.
Right.
But either way, had a lot of fights. And then, you know, so I learned how to fight, you know,
right. Like
I was in the gladiator stage of life. Like these kids were not playing. Like, right. So because of that, you know, that's why I held on to you, because my first response was to fling, and I didn't want to do that to someone I love. I'm like, I'm older now, like I'm an adult versus like a child, so I am thinking more clearly. You know, the frontal cortex is developed. It's developed. Right. So I'm like thinking, and so like I just held on because that was the lifeline, and maybe
passion point number 1.
Yeah.
Hold on. In these moments, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on to what matters to you most. And there are times when holding on to your pride is what matters. And if you got to beat the snot out of somebody, like, I get it. I'm not going to tell you not to beat the snot out of them. I'm not. Y'all know, because some of you know me, like, personally, so you know that I keep the language edited on the program because I want it to be for all ages. Y'all know what I really want to say. All right? If somebody deserve it. Some of these Mr. Furleys, they deserve...
It's a long blip for me.
Right. They deserve to get the brakes beat off them. However, at what cost to you? So sometimes you got to hold on. And it's hard. It's hard because I know that you had to really, like, siphon through.
She saw, like, I don't know what I looked like, but I was just looking at you like.
Literally, like, I could see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could see all of the changes. Like, I could see the chemical changes that were taking place because it was direct eye contact and you were looking at me, like, unflinchingly, like.
Right.
And I could, like, hear the shuffle in your head. Like, she really, like, I think there was a place where your mind had to process the question that I asked you, like, are you ready to go to jail today? Like, I'm fully aware of what transpired.
Like first, the way she phrased it first, I was like, is she asking me, like, am I ready? Like, we're going to a party, am I ready? Like, versus, like, asking me if I'm sure I want to do this. Right. I was like, you ready? Because like, I mean, I'm in a good outfit for jail. Like, what's up? Like, 2 days, but what's this, Thursday?
It's Thursday.
That part, all of the timing.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like,
the timing was terrible.
It's Thursday and it's after 5. On a good day, on the right bond, we might get out tomorrow. Probably not. And I know for certain that you did not want to spend your 30th in nobody's box.
Then I would be like, how did I get here? Why did I do that? Right. All of those questions.
And then there's the thing where you are emotionally developed enough outside of the situation, a couple days removed from the situation, to have this conversation and be like, but I know it would have been because of this. But in that moment, when it happens, if you're now in this box,
you got time to think now.
Now you have time to think, but you're enraged because it's first this happened, now this, all because of what you did. No. Because of what you did. Because of how you reacted. Because there's a difference between responding and reacting. And you reacted, and your reaction begot this. So it's not because of what they did. It's because of what you did. And it's so much easier to say, well, I wouldn't have reacted this way if they didn't do this. Well, that's not necessarily true. The reality of the situation is you reacted that way because you chose to. Mm-hmm. And depending on the person or the situation, you may react that way again. Because that's a decision. Remember that conversation? Decisions versus mistakes? Nah, I made a mistake. No, you made a decision. You made a choice. Can I bring a season together or not? Like
that.
You made a choice. We made a choice. And I personally feel like we made the best choice. I feel like we made an excellent choice to go live about it because it started a conversation. And I'm sure there's some people that are going to think about it. I think we made an excellent choice to have this conversation and talk about it. I know for me, it's been cathartic. It's been cathartic, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I think it's very important that everybody be acknowledged in this, right? The person who's like, no, I'm not going after you because I'm scared. The person who's like, I don't give a, we could do whatever. Jail's it ain't that bad. It's only X amount of time. Like, all of those feelings can be acknowledged and can be explored because all of them are relevant. I think that this was an important conversation to have because if we didn't have it, then I think that this would still be usurping real estate in your mind. I feel like after this, and I could be wrong, but I feel like after this, it'll usurp less real estate, or if it is still taking up space, it'll take up space differently. It'll take up space like, you know what? After it's all said and done, I'm still in control of my life.
Right.
I woke up today and made a decision as to where I was going to be, what time I was going to get there, with whom I was going to spend my time, and how I was going to go forward in life. And had that situation gone any other way, and the possibility of it going another way is very real, had it gone any other way, I may have awakened today and not being able to decide what I want to wear, not be able to decide who I want to spend my time with, not be able to decide where I want to go, be in a situation where now, instead of me having one fight to defend myself or to teach this person a lesson, because after they've done it and they've walked away, you're not defending yourself. If you're putting your hands on me, then I'm defending myself. After you've committed an act, I'm not defending myself. I'm getting vindication. Let's call it what it is. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, but now there's a possibility that you would have to spend at least the next 30 days, possibly 30 years, defending yourself when you look at it from that perspective and you see it through that lens,
it becomes smaller. The situation, it starts to shrink. It might, and it'll be there, like, because it happened, right? It's a thing. It happened, just like a lot of situations. But it becomes smaller, and it doesn't outweigh what I was about to sacrifice, because that's what they wanted me to sacrifice. You know, whether they knew it or not, energetically, they want what we have. That
joy.
Joy.
Because a lot of people miserable, and they just want to steal your joy. And it's not actually having anything to do with you. It has everything to do with the fact that they are unhappy that they don't possess that same level of joy. There are so many times when so many things have happened, and it's like, I definitely could have responded differently, but for what? Like, I'm not you a non-factor. Y'all gonna hear me say that a lot in an upcoming episode.
That's another button.
But for real, it's because you, like, we can't keep giving these people our power. We can't keep giving them our energy. So what if you could leave the Passionates with 3 to 5 passion points from this experience, what would they be?
Okay, well, I would say the first one, you touched on this, but I will
expound on it.
So when things are tumultuous and unexpected in your life, stay rooted in what you love.
Hold on
to what you love when things around you are showing you differently.
Yeah.
When things around you are showing you differently, hold on to the things that you love and send yourself there if at all possible, you know, because just do that. Just do that. Another point I would say is to, I would say this situation has reminded me that letting go is a daily process.
That's good.
Let go every day of something that's not serving you. It doesn't have to be a physical thing, right? It can be, right, okay, I know a little something.
That was good.
So that's my second point, that letting go is not just for when things big happen in your life or something. It's a daily practice, whether it's something physical or mental or just non-tangible. Let go. My third point would be, because you're letting go, in the same process, make room.
Bree trying to come with all the fire today, y'all.
So
she's trying to come with all the fire today.
Right. So in this process of letting go of that person's energy, it's the law of vacuum. It's the law of the universe. You make room for other things to fill that space. So when you're letting go, you don't need to rush to fill that space with something else, but at the same time invite something better from that experience into your life, so that you're not robbed of, the lesson. So when something tough happens, don't just look at what it's taking from you, but what it's giving you. And this situation is giving me clarity, right, on what I need, on my fundamentals of my spirituality, right? So my fourth point would probably be to do not lean on your own understanding, honestly, and that is one of the
It's
things.
above me now.
It's above me now, and that was what I appreciated about myself, right? Give yourself props for even your immediate reaction, because yes, my immediate reaction was to want to stoop to his level and meet him where he was, but at the same time, I naturally called to something higher than myself in that moment, because I knew I needed that personally. I needed that to overpower that situation. Mm-hmm. And then the fifth I would say is, a win doesn't always look like a win.
Absolutely.
A win does not always look like a win.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you feel like you lost in a situation because you didn't act. but you don't know sometimes you don't realize in the moment what you actually want, you know, whether it was your dignity, whether it was your freedom, your life, you know, your ability to control yourself, you know, those are things that you win in a situation where other people want you to react because they're controlled by their emotions and nothing else, pretty much. You know, they want you to not be in tune with your higher self and not think clearly. So, you know, I would say just keep those things in mind and walk through life that way. And I think that, you know, it's a good start. So.
That was good.
Oh, thank you.
That was real good. I don't even know what to say now. I'm like, let me hold up. I thought I stopped it.
Oh no,
sorry. I don't even know what to say. That was too good. Wow. No, that was excellent. I'm a little speechless. Okay, 3 to 5 passion points. So, as we announced at the beginning, taking the high road can be traumatic. Taking the high road can be traumatic. And that wasn't supposed to happen. And that's okay. It's okay for you to feel traumatized. It's okay for you to feel awestruck, flabbergasted. It's okay for you to question. Because often our lower selves want the vindication, but it's not about us. And I think that would take us into my second passion point. Everything that happens isn't about you. Everything that happens in your experience, because I don't want to say everything that happens to you, even though that's how it feels. Everything that happens in your experience is not necessarily about you. Sometimes you are a character in somebody else's story. You are a pivotal character in somebody else's story, but it's not about you. It's not your story. You have had the experience, and so you're left with but why did I have to be the person? But even that is selfish, because if it wasn't you, then who was it supposed to be? Anybody but you? So that you could be like, oh, that's unfortunate that happened to them, but glad it didn't happen to me. Let's go get drinks. Right. Like, and that's really the mentality. And it's like, that's not what I'm saying, but that's exactly what you're saying. Why did it have to happen to me means I'm okay if it happens to somebody else. Mm-hmm. Even if you shape the question, well, why did it have to happen? If this was the only way for them to get to this place, then what?
And that can go you can use that in any, and we could say, why did the dinosaurs have to
become extinct?
But would we be here if that didn't happen? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And maybe that's not for me to know.
Right. Passion point number 3. Mm-hmm. Let me think. Because we talked about so much and we dropped a lot of good gems today. Passion point number 3. Thank God for editing. Because this silence ain't it. Passion point number 3.
I think you can expound on that.
On which one?
Thank God for editing. Because we edited that situation.
Yo, we edited ourselves. Okay, breathe for the win. Okay, so thank God for editing. Like, because being able to edit ourselves in the moment was also a major part of how we were able to walk away from the situation. Being able to recognize the headline and say this ain't going to go in our favor. Being able to recognize that, like, I'm building a brand, a telecom brand, right? And a streaming brand And I don't want it to be built on the darkest. Like, people say, oh, but it's still publicity. Like, yeah, nah. I don't want to be famous for being that girl that beat up that dude. Right. Because, you know what I'm saying? And there's some people who feel confident and they feel comfortable about it. Like, nah. I'm cool with a clip from the podcast going viral. Right. I'm not cool with going viral because I had to whack somebody in the street because they were acting crazy. Passion point number 4, there's a lot of mental instability running rampant right now. Stay on your toes, head on a swivel. And I'm not going to tell you to be out here trying to bite your tongue because people are bugging. Like, you should be able to speak as freely as these Looney Tunes that are out here speaking. You should be able to speak as freely as anybody else, especially if when you're speaking freely, you're only saying something as simple as a word of caution. However, be mindful, and this is even something that I encounter at work. I get calls all the time, and they're like, I'm looking for so-and-so. This person suffers from this mental incapacitation, this disability or debilitation. They appear normal, and you won't be able to pick it up until you're talking to them long enough. There are people who are normal appearing. They don't seem like there's anything wrong with them. And it's not until you engage with them long enough that you realize this person needs to be medicated. This person is supposed to be with a guardian. This person is not somebody who should be outside in the street by themselves. And me continuing to engage with them, I'm not equipped for this conversation. Mm-hmm. So be mindful that everybody that you encounter that looks like the average Joe, you don't know what's going through their head. And they might not have all of their marbles. Right. They might not have all the screws. Never mind the ones that are loose. They might not have all the screws in the first place. Like, so be never there. Right. They trying to build a whole project, but they like 15 or 20 screws short of a stable structure. That's a lot of screws. But it's a real thing. So I had to jump out real quick. Bree had to let me know about the nasty white mouth. Remember we talked about that in the episode with Tanae. So thank you for not allowing me to, cause yucky.
Got you, girl.
Passion point number 5. Don't allow anyone to make you their victim. Don't allow anyone to make you their victim. I feel like because we maintained our control, we maintained our self-control, and we maintained our power, his action didn't inflict victimhood. I know other people would feel victimized. They would feel very disrespected. It's funny because I don't feel disrespected. I feel like, bro, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like,
yeah, like I like, that's why I said, like, I don't feel angry. I feel bothered. Like, yeah, like, what's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. Like, legit, I don't have any other words for it. What's wrong with you? Something is wrong with you. Like, for why? Right. But I don't feel like first of all, I feel like he wanted to disrespect. But I don't feel like he was successful in that. I feel like...
And that's why I think he was still egging us on as he...
At the corner.
Because he wanted us to feel what he was feeling. For whatever reason he was feeling it. He wanted us to feel some way.
He wanted us to feel violated. Mm-hmm. But the question is the real question is, who made you feel violated that you could not make them feel violated, so you just want to make anybody feel violated, because
Yeah.
that's really what it boils down to.
Right.
Because if, like I said, if he really wanted to smoke, he wouldn't have left. He would have stayed. You know what I'm saying? He got out of there quickly enough, and that's why I said to him, because he was popping his pop at the corner, and I'm like, that's why I said, you still talking from the corner. So what's up?
Right.
Because you at the corner. Only people who haven't moved is us.
That part.
So what we
Right.
doing? Because if you really wanted to smoke, you could have stayed right here. We could have shook it down right here. It was nothing but space and opportunity. Wasn't nobody around. So I feel like, yeah, don't allow anyone to make you a victim. Don't. Maintain, like, really, and sometimes it takes a lot of work to, like, sort through the thoughts and the feelings that go along with it. But after you sort through it and you recognize, like, this never was my issue in the first place, that's how you, like, you go from victim to victor. Like,
Yeah.
you wanted to make me feel XYZ way. You make me feel bothered. Like,
Yeah.
you bothered me.
That's really how it feels. Yeah.
You bothered me. I left you alone and you bothered me. and it disturbs me that you bothered me. That's really where I am emotionally. Like, I don't feel devastated. Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like,
Yeah, I feel like I only can feel that way from when I've invested maybe that emotional energy and intimacy with someone. Maybe then I'll feel disrespected or, degraded by something. But I didn't feel that way. I felt upset. Like, what's wrong with you? Like really? Like, I know it wasn't about me, but it's what's wrong with you?
right. There's something way deeper happening here. This had nothing to do with me. This had everything to do with you and what's going on in your heart, your mind, your spirit.
Yeah.
Which is tragically unfortunate. You know what, person, wherever you are, divine favor be upon your life. I really speak that, and I speak that sincerely. Divine favor be upon your life, because I see that you really need that. You need an encouraging word from someone. You need some love from someone, and I speak that before you, that kind of love and that kind of grace and that kind of mercy before you, because your actions are going to catch somebody who is not as spiritually attuned, who is not as spiritually developed, who is not heightened, who has not evolved to this place, and they not going to pray for you. They going to beat the snot out of you. I ain't going to feel bad for you because I wanted divine favor to be on your life.
Right.
But and amen. So that's what it was today, Passionates.
Yeah.
Bree, thank you for coming on and having this conversation and being vulnerable, being transparent about this experience. I know that we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We talked about it a little bit before we came on. And I think it would be dope for both of us to sit down and write out our feelings and then, burn that and let it go.
Yeah.
But I think my letter would be short.
It won't. Now, after this,
Yeah.
I feel like what I was feeling I was going to write doesn't even matter.
Right. Healing Starts with a Conversation. That was the name of my second album. Bruised but Not Broken. Healing Starts with a Conversation. Shameless plug.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, because I feel like if I wrote a letter, it would be like, bro, I don't know what's wrong with you, but clearly you are bothered and you are now being bothersome because life is not going the way you want it to.
Right.
And while that is unfortunate, please keep your saliva to yourself, because you caught me on a good day.
You really did. Really did. We were in a joyous
Really,
vibration.
really jubilant, really like joyful. Yes, absolutely. And so, but yeah. If you have an experience that you would like to share, if you have feedback, we would love to hear about it. We would love to read it in the comments. If you have had an experience and you don't want to tell everybody publicly and you want to just tell me on the low, send me a listener letter, mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. passionpsapodcast.com. If you'd like to be a financial contributor to the pod, you can make donations through Podbean, Linktree, Zelle. I always forget one. PayPal. All donations are welcome. They all go back into the pod. They all go into the operations and the day-to-day of making this thing work. I don't really think I have a whole bunch of more housekeeping that I want to do. I'm grateful that I'm grateful that we experienced that together and that we were able to balance each other out in the feelings. I'm grateful for the time to have the conversation about it. I'm grateful for the food that we had before.
Yes.
Because it was really good.
Stay tuned for that.
Y'all gotta stay tuned because that was really good. Like, I want more.
Yeah, I do too.
Damn.
I do too.
When I come back, we'll go to the Queens location.
I'm ready.
Yes, let's go. Okay. I think that's it. Go forth. Be great. No, your Get You Right Guru is signing off. Y'all go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Be good people. And being good people sometimes is challenging when people who aren't being good try to take you there, but don't let them. Don't let them. And talk about your feelings, because you talking about it is as cathartic as you beating the brakes off of somebody. And it's probably going to cost you less in court fees. It'll probably keep you out of jail. Okay? It'll probably keep you out of jail. I think that's it, y'all. In all things, be passionate. See you later. We out of here.